Hi, my name is Tanya and welcome to Utility Jane. Today I am making two of our family favourites, granola, or we call it muesli, and lasagna, packed full of vegetables, and because I have a bit of sauce left over, I'm making stuffed capsicums. Okay, we're going to start with the granola. I start with rolled oats and some sunflower seeds, some pepitas, some flax seeds, chia, some shredded coconut. Nothing is measured, just depending on what you like. This is my almond flour. And I'm going to add some nuts. So starting with some pecans, I'm going to roughly chop. Making sure I add plenty. Now I'm going to add some Brazil nuts. This changes each time I make it. It just depends what I have in the pantry as to what I add. Not measuring anything in particular, just roughly chopping so that it's easy to eat. Now I add olive oil, plenty of olive oil. I don't mind the taste, some people might find it that they don't like it, and maple syrup. And if you don't like olive oil, you can always use avocado oil. A lot of people use coconut oil, and just give it a good old mix. And I add it to a large baking dish, and then I put it in a low oven. Not too hot because you do not want it burning, and then regularly taking it out and moving it around. Now we're just going to get ready for making lasagna. I like to prep a few things so that I can just get on with cooking and I'm not having to stop and start. Now let's get some veg out. We've got cauliflower, we've got carrots, capsicum, some broccoli, onion, garlic. I've got some pre-cooked mince that I did in my pressure cooker. I'm going to add some frozen corn, and I have some celery that I have chopped up and froze. So I'm going to add some of that, some tomato paste, some passata, and a whole handful of leafy greens out of my garden. So let's get started. We have the corn and the celery going in. I'm going to heat the pot and get that defrosting while I get some other things chopped up. You're wanting all your vegetables to be of similar size so that they cook in the same amount of time. Remembering that this will be put in the oven, so a lot of the cooking will be done then. So this is more of getting it all together with herbs and spices and not overcooking it in the pot because it will go into the oven. I love to add lots and lots of vegetables into this. It makes a full meal. It cuts back on the amount of meat to put in it, and it ends up quite a budget-friendly dish. You could also just not put meat in it at all and make a vegetarian. Get the capsicum chopped and the onion, and we're just adding oil. Slowly, I filled my bottle too full and now it comes out really slow. So we've got some sugar, some sweet paprika, some seasoned salt, some sea salt, some pepper, and we'll get that tossed around and get those veggies frying off. a little dry, so add some more oil. Now I'm going to chop up the cauliflower and have that all ready to go in. I do not want that overcooking, so I will add that a little later. But it will be ready to go. While I'm waiting, I like to try and be efficient and get this going so that I can move through this quite quickly, because once this goes in the oven, I'm free to go off and do whatever I love. That's what I love about cooking lasagna. It's a bit intense getting it done to start with, and really that's just the thought of it. Seems like a big job, but once the meat is prepped, pre-cooked like I do, it really takes no time at all. But it goes in the oven and I can go off and get some other things done. So I'm going to get all my rainbow chard washed so I can have that chopped and ready to go in. It will go in last. Chop it up. It cooks away to not much, so we add plenty. Now I'm going to get the broccoli and the cauliflower in and get that all tossed with all the herbs and the oil. Checking on my granola or muesli and give that a stir around so it heats through evenly. It doesn't get too brown on the top, and keeping an eye on the vegetables. Make sure you keep tossing those through. Going to add some garlic, plenty of garlic. Get that stirred through. Get all these other leaves that I didn't put in a cup of water. They keep really well, and if I have them sitting there, I tend to use a lot more than having to run out to the veggie garden every time. Okay, this is the pre-cooked meat that I cook down in the pressure cooker. Love to do this. I've said it in previous videos. I bag it up, I make it into sauce, have it all pre-cooked, so cooking with this takes no time. I don't have to get meat on and brown it and then slowly add the vegetables to it. It's already done. I do my vegetables, put the meat in, get the passata in, put a little bit of water in that just to clean out the bottle and adds a bit more sauce. I use dry lasagna sheets, so a little bit extra liquid is needed for those to soak up. Get that all stirred through. We add plenty of tomato paste, thicken up the sauce a bit. I love when cooking with tomatoes that it is really tomatoey. That's what we love, so a jar of or a bottle of passata is never going to be enough. Let's get a lid on that and get that simmering away. Get that turned down and give it a good stir through. Get a bit more paste in that now. It is cooked off a bit. I like to add the paste, cook it down a bit. There's some liquid that comes out of the vegetables, let that evaporate off, and then re-add tomato paste. Give the granola a toss around, and then it cooks evenly. It's a great combination because you want the oven hot for the lasagna to go in, but meanwhile, you can be doing the granola while it's heating up. So I'm taking this opportunity to make myself a cover matcha and some peach pie. Going to have this, have a little break, have a little refuel. So good. I'll have this, and then I can get the lasagna put together and then get on with the rest of my day. Okay, now we're going to make some white sauce. So it's just flour. I've got gluten-free flour. I've got some seasoned salt. I've got some pepper, some nutmeg. I love to add nutmeg to the white sauce. And I use olive oil. A lot of people use butter. I tend to just use olive oil. And now I'm going to get that all mixed up. I haven't even put the heat on yet. I'm just going to get that flour whisked into the oil. I've got some water ready to go. I don't use milk in the white sauce. So I get the heat on, I get that all whisked through, cook off that flour just a bit. Once that starts to foam up around the sides, I usually find that's a good time to add some liquid. I'm using water. I don't like a rich lasagna. I'd rather have it not so rich and be able to eat a decent piece than to have it that rich that you only want a tiny little piece and then you're hungry an hour later. I just keep adding water, and I add some cheese to thicken that up. Keep whisking, don't stop whisking. You've got to keep it moving, otherwise it will stick to the bottom. A lot of people use a wooden spoon. I tend to love to use the whisk. Never any lumps. Okay, so there's the granola. It is out. It is looking nicely browned all over and dried out. That is the main thing, is that you want to dry out the maple syrup and the olive oil and have it all toasted. To what degree after it is dried out is purely up to you. Now I'm going to add the greens into the lasagna sauce pot. I know it looks a lot, but it will cook down. Oh, it is so full. This is why I can make some stuffed capsicums after. Get that all pushed down in there. That will take no time to wilt those leaves down when they go into a hot pot. Turned up the heat. We're going to do a taste test to see what else needs to be added. Usually salt. A bit of seasoned salt. That is a big full pot. I'm going to add a bit more pepper and some sea salt, just plain old salt. The seasoned salt has all the extra vegetables. I think it's a green vegetable mix. It's by Vogel. Get that all stirred in, and really that just, as long as it's mixed through evenly, it does not have to cook, because the amount of time it's going to be in the oven is plenty. You do not want it overcooking. Okay, let's get this lasagna assembled. This is a really big tray. It allows for dinner plus a leftovers night plus some meals in the freezer, which is always a good thing. Okay, so a thick layer of the sauce on the bottom. Look, this is a lot of vegetables in here, so it is a good filling meal. Now I've got some sheets of lasagna, dry, they're just going in. That is why the sauce is quite runny, because this pasta will soak it up. It'll take on the flavors of all the vegetables and the meat. Got some white sauce going in. I usually use about half, maybe a bit more. That white sauce layer in. Then we go back to layering on the meat sauce or the vegetables. Get another good thick layer of that on. And I like to always make sure I have some in reserve, because I add some to the top again. Like I said, once that meat is pre-cooked, I prep that meat. It takes no time to get this together. I get those on there and I push them down into the sauce so that they are submerged and they will soak up any kind of liquid. I get the white sauce on top. I can use up all that white sauce because that is delicious on there. And I like to add a little bit of the meat sauce or the tomato sauce in, and then mix it with the white sauce And then I let that soak up. I like to sit it aside and have the pasta soak it up before I put it in the oven. It usually means then it won't overflow. Now I have some leftover mashed potato and I'm going to add some sauce to it. I have these beautiful little yellow capsicums and going to add some sauce to this mashed potato, and then I'm going to pack them into the capsicum and roast them. Put a bit more cheese on top and roast them. Then I can have them for a lunch with some extra salad on the side, and it's a vegetable packed meal. Just add a bit more meat sauce. I think I was just trying to work out the ratio, that it's not too much potato, and making sure there's plenty of meat sauce in there. I'm going to chop the top off the capsicums. Like I said, this is a great light meal for a lunch, for an afternoon snack before I head off to work. It's not too heavy, and there they are. They are so beautiful. I love the yellow capsicum. I'm just going to pack those full of the meat sauce that's mixed with the mashed potato, and then they can go into the oven. If I put my oven on, I like to use it for lots of different things. I hate having the oven on and only having one thing in it. It's such a waste of power. With the cost of things at the moment, I always like to think about these things. If the oven goes on to cook lasagna, well, I'm going to be making granola, or making biscuits, or cooking a cake, or making another meal, making these capsicums for lunch. Going to get some Parmesan cheese on top. And then I'm going to put a bit of olive oil on top, drizzle that olive oil over. I'm going to put the tops back on them. Just give them a little push down and a little drizzle of olive oil. And that looks absolutely delicious. Now they're going into the oven. I'm going to top the lasagna with some cheese, and then that can go into the oven as well. The granola has finished, so the temperature can go up. This is now cooled down a fair bit. Now I like to add some chopped dates to it. I know you can add all different dried fruits and things, but my favourite is dates. Just seems to make a nice caramelly mix. This with some yogurt and some sliced banana is a really good afternoon pick-me-up for a snack. It's very filling. It's really, really good. I tend not to eat this for breakfast. I usually have it in an afternoon or a dessert. And this is why I chop them, because there's a seed in there. Now we get those in and get it all mixed through. The thing that you have to remember, or make sure that this is absolutely cool. There is no heat left in there, because once that goes into a jar, it'll steam up and it might go moldy. So here it is later on that night. It is sat in there and cooled right through, and now I'm putting it into a big storage jar, getting it all in there, and that's right now for another couple of weeks. Make sure you scrape off all the chia seeds off the bottom. And get my little measure in, get the lid on, give the jar a wipe over. And it's always a good chance to clean down the jars. and it's done for another couple of weeks. Now here are the little stuffed capsicums, looking delicious. I'm just home from work, and there's the lasagna. That's going to be for dinner, but right now I am going to have one of these little stuffed capsicums. I've got some salad all chopped up in the fridge. I'm going to add that. Greek yogurt dressing. I'm just going to enjoy this now. Oh, so good. So many vegetables and goodness in here. So good. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I appreciate your company. If you would like to subscribe, I would appreciate that. Have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.